Welcome to the 10th in a series of political candidate forums in advance of the August 23rd primary election. This forum, a cooperative venture of the League of Women Voters of Tallahassee, the Tallahassee Democrat, and WFSU Public Media. Our candidates today are running for the Leon County Judge, Seat 1. I'm Tom Flanagan from WFSU Public Media. I'm joined by William Hatfield from the Tallahassee Democrat and Barry Monroe from the League of Women Voters of Tallahassee. And we're going to be questioning the candidates on various topics. Let's get a quick look at the ground rules, and then we'll be off and running right after we meet our candidates. William?
The candidates for Leon County Judge Seat 1 are Jason L. Jones, the incumbent in this race who's with us in the studio, and Mario R. Theodore, who is joining us by Zoom. Can you tell us why you're joining us by Zoom today, Mr. Theodore?
I'm out of the country. I'm at a pseudo family reunion out of the country.
Wow, well, that's a good reason. Well, a reminder for those watching us on social media, please hit the share button and help all your friends see today's discussion as well. Here is how the forum will work. We will rotate which candidate gets to answer first. We have a lot of questions, so we're going to ask the candidates to keep your answers to about 60 seconds, sometimes shorter for follow-ups. We will kind of give you the time frame on each one. We will be keeping time, and we have a very high-tech way of letting you know when you've allotted your time. You will hear a bell, and it will sound like this. Just like that. That's what it's going to sound like. You don't have to come to a dead stop right then, but please finish your sentence and we'll move on. In the middle of the forum, we will also have a lightning round. That is when we ask you to keep your answers to just one sentence. At the end of the forum, we're going to give you 90 seconds to make the case directly to voters and share your website or any other information.
If you're watching on Facebook and you have a question for the candidates, go ahead and type them in the comments and we'll get to them, as many of them as we can. Time is very limited, so you can improve your chances of your questions being asked if you keep it brief and polite. Make it a question applicable to all the candidates. Candidates, any questions before we start?
No, sir.
Then let's jump in with the first question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Monroe. You know, many of our audience members perhaps are not as familiar with judicial candidates as with the other types of folks who are up for vote. So if we could ask each of you to give us a little synopsis of your background and what qualifies you for this office, and we'll do each of those responses in a minute. And Mr. Theodore, if we could start with you, please, sir.
Sure. I've been a licensed attorney in Florida since 2007. However, I started out as a CLI, which is Certified Legal Intern in the 19th Circuit Public Defender's Office. I moved down to Florida in 2006. I'm originally from Chicago. Prior to that, I was a law enforcement deputy with the Cook County Sheriff's Department and the Cook County Department of Corrections. After graduating from law school, I came down to Florida in 2006. I did 2 years with the public defender's office, and shortly after that, hung out my own shingle, so to speak. I've practiced in criminal law, civil law, including foreclosure defense, county court cases, landlord-tenant cases, immigration. Right now, I concentrate in family law. I've been assistant general counsel with the Police Benevolent Association. I've done administrative cases in the Department of Administrative Hearings. I've done contract negotiation. I've done collective bargaining. There probably isn't much as far as legal areas of law that I haven't at least tried to an extent.
Okay, Mr. Theodore, we got a bell on that one here. We can revisit some of these perhaps a little bit later on the presentation. Mr. Jones, your background, please, in a minute, sir.
Yes, and I just want to first say thank you all for having us today. So my name is Jason Jones. I am your Leon County Judge, and I have been your Leon County Judge for the past 2 years. My legal background is I started as an attorney here in Leon County in 2004 upon graduating from the FSU College of Law. I began my career as an assistant state attorney. I have prosecuted everything from traffic cases up to attempted first-degree murder cases. I've tried an attempted first-degree murder case here locally in Leon County. After being with the state attorney's office for roughly 5.5 years, I went to work as a legal advisor for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and I did that for 6 years until I was promoted to their general counsel in 2015. From 2015 to 2020, I served as FDLE's general counsel, handling everything that the agency is involved with, which is administrative hearings, administrative law, contract law, complex civil litigation, employment law. I assisted in the drafting of legislation, and I've been your county judge for the past 2 years, presiding over thousands of cases.
Thank you, sir. A couple follow-ups, if we could here. We went through the nuts and bolts of each of your resumes, but let's veer a little bit more into the philosophical realm, if we could. And starting with you, Mr. Theodore, could you explain your judicial philosophy in plain English? A minute for that, please, sir.
My judicial philosophy is, in short, to follow the law. My job isn't to, or a judge's job, or my philosophy is not to create laws. That's not the branch of government that a judge sits in. That said, the law is the law. However, if there is discretion to judges to make certain decisions based upon specific details, in that discretion, I believe that judges should have some sensitivity and empathy and experience with the diverse demographic that's in the area that they're judging over, so to speak. So that's my answer in short.
Okay, very good. Mr. Jones, your turn.
So I also believe the judges should follow the law as written, apply it to the facts of the case. County court, we do have a lot of discretion, so there is a lot of opportunity for us to use our experience and our background to be compassionate when we're dealing with individuals, and we have a lot more discretion than they do in circuit court. We shouldn't let our personal beliefs get in the way. We should just follow the law as written. And I have a very diverse experience being a county judge in this county for the past 2 years. I have had a lot of people from different backgrounds appear in front of me, and I have proven time and again that I am fair and impartial and follow the law.
All right, sir, if we could stick with you for just a moment for a final follow-up on that. What, to your way of thinking, differentiates you most greatly from your opponent in this race? 45 seconds, please.
Well, I don't really know my opponent in this race, so I can't say how we differ, but I just believe in following the law, being fair, and being compassionate.
Okay, very good. Your thoughts on that, Mr. Theodore, please.
I agree with Judge Jones. I don't believe that as far as what our answers were, that there is much differentiation in us believing that the law should be followed. And I don't want to, I have nothing adverse to say. I'm not sure of how our thinking may differ. Okay,
thank you.
All right. Judge Jones, you'll have 1 minute to respond to this as well, Mr. Theodore. In your professional opinion, what is the cause of the high rate of incarceration of people of color in our community?
Lack of resources in that community have created an atmosphere that has just caused a lot of people to turn to a crime as a way to try and help just get by. And so, I think that as far as what we as a judiciary can do, we're pretty limited. Once the case has come before us, at that point, we can just follow the law and be fair and try and explain to everyone what is going on. But we need to rely on our other elected officials to try and help create an environment that does not end in a lot of people of color ending up before the courts.
Thank you. Mr. Theodore?
I agree with Judge Jones to the extent of lack of resources in certain communities. To expound on that, I don't think it's any secret that a lot of times in communities of color, those are communities that may not have as much financial backing or businesses or infrastructure that assists those communities to thrive. I don't want to necessarily say it's really based on communities of color, and I know that. I'm sorry?
We didn't say anything.
Oh, I really believe that it deals with money and investment in the community. I was raised in the 1970s. I remember growing up, our community, which was a community of color, I had sources such as Boys and Girls Clubs, the YMCA, after school programs. So I believe that foundation helps. I do agree with Judge Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Theodore. As a follow-up, Judge Jones, do you see a racial disparity in sentencing in Leon County?
So I think we do a great job in Leon County of taking into account the things that should be taken into account and trying to ignore the things that should not. All judges in Leon County and throughout the state go through diversity training and implicit bias training. So the first key is to know that that implicit bias is there and to try and remove that from the equation. I know personally, most cases are resolved through a plea agreement where the state and the defense have agreed to a plea. But when I have discretion, I try and not use anything other than the facts that are supposed to be used in determining a sentence.
Thank you. Mr. Theodore, do you see a racial disparity in sentencing in Leon County?
I don't know statistics of that to answer it with being fully informed. To answer the question in a general sense, there appears to be some disparity when it comes to, let's say, lack of fair, say, communities that have certain, whether they're good schools, whether they're business investment. So I believe that goes hand in hand with any disparities that may be apparent.
Thank you, Mr. Theodore. Judge Jones, what are your views on whether the court as a whole deals effectively with racial and gender bias in the judicial system?
So I think that goes back to what I was just saying about our training. We do a good job of trying to make sure that judges are aware of the implicit bias of perceived inequities and try to make sure that that does not go into any decisions that are being made. I know I personally treat everyone fairly that becomes before me, and I think that that is evidenced in the group of people who support me, who make up all different areas of practice of law and all different various races, because they know that for the past 2 years that I have been fair to everyone who appears in front of me.
Mr. Theodore, what are your views on whether the court as a whole deals effectively with racial and gender bias in the judicial system?
I will say, we've had a similar question before. What I'll state is people. I mean, we're all people, whether you're a judge or someone who's voting for a judge. People have biases, prejudices, as much as you try to tamp them down. That's just the truth of it all. So I do believe that going to class and learning how to identify certain presumptions that you may have is definitely a help. However, I do believe that the best way to address any disparity or implicit bias is to actually have lived in different or in varied demographics so you can immerse yourself in dealing with any biases that you may have or to at least dissipate them.
Okay, Mr. Theodore, what experience do you draw on that would allow you to relate to the diverse public that might come before you as a judge?
Wow, I am the product of immigrants. It's no secret that my father is a Haitian American. I have my wife is of Puerto Rican descent. We have families who are various countries in my immediate family. Also, growing up, in addition to living in Chicago from the years of 2 and 7, My family and I, we lived in Montreal, Quebec, which actually I started school speaking French and had to reuse my English, so to speak. I've drawn on friends from different countries around the world. I've grown up with different peoples. And so that being said, I think that foundation has allowed me to at least be non-status quo, so to speak, because of the sensitivities that I have with people from around the world.
As a follow-up, Judge Jones, what experience do you draw on that would allow you to relate to the diverse public that you might come before you as a judge?
So I was born and raised in Key West, Florida, which I think is probably one of the most diverse communities in the state of Florida. Only one middle school, only one high school. Grew up around a lot of different races and nationalities. My wife is Italian. Her father was born in Italy. She's first generation Italian American. So I too have been surrounded my entire life by a lot of different backgrounds, have friends and co-workers at different jobs that have been from different varying backgrounds. And then the last 2 years as a county judge, I've been really able to see all of the various communities that comes before me. But I think it's also important to note that I have been a member of this community for 21 years. So I know exactly what this community makeup is and the challenges and the good things that this community faces.
I've got one quick follow-up I want to tack onto this. Would the latest changes to state law that touch on diversity training potentially impact the implicit bias training that judges receive? 30 seconds on that, and we will start with you, Jason Jones.
So I think that the diversity training and the implicit bias training that we currently get is very thorough. It's days long. I don't know how the new training that is going into effect will affect that, but so far I know what we have has been very thorough and very effective.
Mario Theodore, same question.
As I kind of touched on in my previous answer, I believe that any improvement to training in and of itself isn't going to magic wand any sort of bias away. It's a step in the right direction. So any improvement is better. I think the improvement needs an improvement. But any step in the right direction is a good direction to step in.
All right, so we're going to change the topic here a little bit. Mario Theodore, tell us about an instant in which you faced an ethical dilemma and how you resolved it. You have 1 minute, and I'm looking for a specific instance in which you faced an ethical dilemma and how you resolved it.
Ethical dilemma. Wow. And as being an attorney, is that the specific question? Or just
sure, and it could be an attorney or it could be life. Either is going to show your decision-making process.
Okay, I'll give you an example of an ethical dilemma. As a former law enforcement officer, you may be in instances where colleagues may be doing something that ethically you don't identify, or empathize, or agree with. And that being said, drawing on seeing an instance without going further into it, it was either A, do what I believe to be the right thing, or B, do what was the status quo, or to be a part of the group. And I chose the former. I did the right thing. I did what was true to my values. I moved in that direction as opposed to wanting to be accepted and part of a group.
Thank you. Jason Jones, same question.
So, I mean, I think the easiest answer to that question is do the right thing. As an attorney, of course, you're faced a lot of times with different things that you could choose to sweep under the rug in order to help your case, or report to the other side. As a prosecutor, that comes up all the time, evidence that wasn't submitted on time, and or evidence that is exculpatory to the defendant. And in every instance, it wasn't really a dilemma. It was just a decision of, this is something that needs to be done because it's the right thing to do. At FDLE, we always had what we called the capital steps test, and that was if you could stand on the Capitol steps and justify your decision to the public, then it was the right decision. But if you couldn't do that, then maybe what you were thinking about doing was not the right thing. So it just all boils down to doing the right thing.
Thank you. Jason Jones, a follow-up question. What do you feel is the role of God or your faith, if any, in your decision-making process? And you have 45 seconds to respond.
So my belief in God should not affect my decisions. Every morning I do pray for God to give me wisdom and patience, but that is where it ends. When I put on the robe and I take the bench, my decisions are based upon the law and what the law says and what the facts of the case are. And that's where it ends. Your religious beliefs or your personal beliefs in any matter should not affect your ability or your decision as a judge.
Thank you. Mario Theodore, same question.
I agree to an extent with Judge Jones. I don't believe religion in and of itself should play a part in the specific decisions that a judge may make, and especially if being fair to people of, let's say, different faiths or whether or not they believe in a higher power. So that shouldn't weigh in on anything. However, as a foundation of who Mario Theodore is, definitely faith has helped me, let's say, grow and be more empathetic and be more tolerant of others. And that definitely helped just me as a human being. And if I'm a better human being, obviously I can be a better resource to the people who are looking to me to make an appropriate decision.
We have a three-parter coming up for each of you here. Number one, how do you define restorative justice? Second, would you implement this concept in criminal cases? And third, please explain your answer, and you have a whole 45 seconds in which to do that. And Mario Theodore, if we can start with you, please, sir.
Assuming restorative justice means to an extent, I'm not sure in what I'm unclear on if whether restorative justice means to, in a criminal sense, restoring or making the so-called state or victim whole, or restorative as opposed to, let's say, a rehabilitative sense. So that's where I'm unclear on what that phrase means. However, if it means the former, then my viewpoint is definitely that restorative justice, if it deals with restoring a victim or the state, it should be. I believe that that's hand in hand. Decisions should be based on restoring the balance of what was imbalanced. Secondly, if we're talking about from a rehabilitative standpoint, if that is appropriate, let's say, then that said, I believe in that also. I believe that all humans are fallible. And so that being said, if there's an opportunity, I think people make choices and decisions that 20 years later may not be the same person or choices that they would make. So at any time that there's an opportunity to help people, especially in a criminal sense, if that's possible, then I'm definitely for that as well.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Jason Jones, your turn on that one, sir.
So restorative justice is the rehabilitation of an offender through reconciliation with the victim and the victim's family and the community. One of my good friends and classmates from law school is very big into restorative justice in Leon County. So I am always open if both parties are open to entering into the process. It's not something that can be forced onto victims, so you do have to have the victims willing to participate. But if both parties are wanting to participate, that is something that I am a big proponent of and would be happy to help facilitate it.
All right, sir. And while we're with you here and in the realm of definitions again, judicial activism, how do you personally define that?
I personally define judicial activism as a judge inputting their own personal beliefs into the decisions that they make to follow the law or not. It is very clear that our role is not to create law, and even if we don't agree with the law, we need to make sure that it is followed and that we interpret the law as it's written. So judicial activism would be in putting your own personal beliefs into your decision of whether to follow a law or not.
Okay, Mario Theodore, your definition of judicial activism, please, sir.
Again, I agree to an extent where, as I stated in a previous answer, I don't believe that judges are there in that branch of government to make the laws. However, and as I see a judicial activist, that's a judge who's breaching on a branch that they aren't part of. However, when discretion is allowed, then obviously to impart some world knowledge, impart some personal viewpoint, if the discretion is allowed, then it's possible where that may be a plus. But I don't want to present, I guess, an imbalanced answer where at its base, activism is breaching into a branch of government that you aren't part of.
Gentlemen, I guess our next question is, what alternatives to incarceration, if any, would you suggest to reduce recidivism in the judicial system?
Judge Jones, you get the first shot at that.
So in Leon County, I think we do a pretty good job of having different programs for diversion, which those are implemented by the state attorney's office or through legislation. But we also do a great job in Leon County of different treatment courts. I myself am the judge for the mental health court in Leon County. And the goal of that court is an alternative to either sanctions or incarcerations. We get individuals who have mental health issues, who our goal is to try and get them stabilized, get them back on their medications, and then ultimately dismiss their case. And then there's similar systems for our drug court and our veterans treatment court. So I think any system that we can have to try and reduce the amount of incarceration, and with the larger goal of reducing recidivism, is a good goal. And I'm open to any suggestions from the community for ways to do that we're not currently doing that. But I think that we do a pretty good job of it.
Mr. Theodore, would you please respond to the question?
Yes, sir. As far as, let me just address it again. I believe Judge Jones hit on some good points. I personally used to be the attorney, the 19th Circuit's representative in diversion court, which includes mental health and drug court. Those courts do work. I've had clients go into the Veterans Court as well, which is a diversion court for our men and women that have served in the armed forces. I do believe those are definitely good programs. However, it may not be enough to reduce recidivism. It goes back to, again, what I believe may be an assistance where there are different programs in the community. Maybe it's not enough sometimes to wait until you get to court and remember in diversion court, that depends on if there's an agreement from the state that this individual gets allowed into the diversion court. So there are definitely other opportunities, I think, that are on the horizon that we could probably help.
All right, Mario Theodore, when last we checked, you reside and are registered to vote in Gadsden County, which means you wouldn't be able to vote in this election in Leon County that you're competing in. Under state law, if you're elected, you must move to Leon County by the time you take office. What are your plans if elected, and should residency be an issue in this campaign? 45 seconds.
The short answer is my plans are to follow the rule. You have until the first Tuesday after the first Monday, if you are elected at the beginning of the year, to come back into the county proper. As I've stated in other forms, as I've stated to Jeff Furlow, who spoke to me this morning, that's not an issue. I knew that when the language was stated to be in Leon County once you got elected, and that's no issue. My office is maintained in Leon County. My wife goes to school in Leon County. Most of my clients are from Leon County. My daughter lives in Leon County. I have the bulk of my clients are from Leon County. My little brother, who's from Big Brothers Big Sisters, is in Leon County. So that's not an issue. So that's what my plans are. If the rule from the supervisor of elections state that, Mario, if you're elected, you have to be back by the first Tuesday of the first Monday, then those plans are already in the works. I mean, we own property throughout the state of Florida, and I don't see
Thank you.
Leon County would be any different.
Judge Jones, do you believe residency is an issue in this campaign?
I think if you're asking the people of Leon County to vote for you and you're claiming that you want to serve the residents of Leon County, that you should be a resident of Leon County. I have resided in Leon County for 21 years. I've practiced my entire career here. I've dedicated my entire career to public service and serving the people of Leon County. And I think that you shouldn't just be willing to move to Leon County if you were successful in the election. I think that you should be a member of the community that you serve, which I am.
Thank you. Judge Jones, when last we checked, your campaign has raised nearly $71,000 in campaign contributions, according to local reports. That's about 7 times the amount Mr. Theodore has reported raising. You both have committees soliciting donations. What should voters take away from your campaign finance? Judge Jones.
So
45 seconds.
I would invite voters to go and look at the donor lists for both myself and my opponent. And what you will notice from my supporters is that they are from Leon County. And the majority of them are attorneys in town and the attorneys that have appeared in front of me. And they make up a diverse group of prosecutors, criminal defense attorneys, plaintiffs' attorneys, civil defense attorneys, administrative law attorneys, family law attorneys, you name it. They've donated to my campaign. And that's because they know that I am a good judge, that I am fair, and that I follow the law. They have 2 years worth of knowledge to show that. And a lot of these folks were people I practiced with when I was a prosecutor that appeared opposite me. So you have people who I went to battle with every day that have donated to my campaign because they know I'm fair.
Thank you. Mario Theodore, same question.
Let me state this. I'm not the status quo by any stretch. If it's important to have the monetary backing of the people in the community, I understand that. And if it's important that if it weighs in on my impartiality or my abilities to be a good and fair judge or a good attorney, demographically, if I live 10 miles outside of the border of Leon County now, then that's important to whomever. However, again, I'm not the status quo. I became a lawyer to help people, not necessarily to be part of the club of attorneys, so to speak, although I am an attorney. You can see that on our website. I'm not the status quo.
Thank you.
All righty, folks. We have all seen cases where judges or judicial candidates have kind of gotten in trouble with social media statements, either in the present or in the past. What role do you think should social media play for a judge? And on a more personal note, do you maintain social media accounts? And Jason Jones, if we could start with you, please.
Sure. So, of course, for a campaign, social media is important to get your message out to the voters. I do maintain a personal social media account. I remember one of the first things that I did upon becoming a judge was I went and defriended all attorneys just because I didn't want to have any appearance of impropriety of people that could appear in front of me also being friends with me on Facebook. I do think that, you should be held accountable to what you post on social media, and it is a reflection of who you are. If you look at my social media, it's just a bunch of pictures of families and my family on vacations, different things like that. But I do think that you have to be careful with social media. Of course, I have a Twitter account, I have an Instagram account, but it's all things that are now really geared towards just helping get the word out for people to vote.
Okay, thank you. Mario Theodore, your turn, sir.
Social media, as far as being a small business owner, an entrepreneur, social media is necessary in this day and age for marketing. So in that vein, our office has had social media. Personally, I haven't up until, again, running for the seat. Again, I maintain social media for the office, but personally, not so much. There is an old Facebook account that I've maintained, although rarely post to it, but there has been more, I guess, activity in running and definitely for marketing for the firm. Is it important for a judge to have social media? Or my thoughts are on that? Probably not. I mean, and like Judge Jones says, if he's just posting family pictures and such, I think that's fine. But there's a fine line between what you should do and what you shouldn't as far as social media is concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to change up the speed a little bit, and we're going to do our lightning round. Here's the way it works. Most of these questions are either kind of yes or no or simple answer questions. Usually I'm looking for that yes or no and then a sentence of explanation on. You, of course, can use an and or a because, but we try to avoid long run-ons. Nobody likes those. Mario Theodore, we're going to start with you. Are you now or have you ever been a member of the Federalist Society, which describes itself as a group of conservatives and libertarians? Mario Theodore.
No.
No. Why or why not?
The why not is just that it was not just not, I guess, something I was willing to join or being a member of.
Okay. Jason Jones?
Yes, I did join the Federalist Society when I was seeking appointment to the bench at the suggestion of several people.
Okay. Who is your top judicial role model and why? Jason Jones.
So probably if I would go locally, I would have to use a couple of different judges. Judge Terry Lewis, who is one of the retired judges who endorses me, was someone who I always liked his demeanor on the bench. Judge Hankinson, who recently retired, is someone that I always looked up to because he was an equal opportunity person that made you follow the rules and made sure that you were on your toes.
Thank you. Mario Theodore, same question.
In short, I've never had that question, but if I was going to seek out a role model, it would be Thurgood Marshall, because first Black Supreme Court Justice, definitely his work with the NAACP, and just what he's done for the people of color, our community.
Thank you.
In itself.
You anticipated my next question, Mario Theodore. What U.S. Supreme Court justice, past or present, do you most admire?
My answer hasn't changed. I most admire Thurgood Marshall just by being a trailblazer and his attitude about. There's a quote of Thurgood Marshall's that it stands for doing the right thing. I think the question was asked, is it following the law or doing the right thing? And he says, always do the right thing. Or
Thank
at least
you.
that's my understanding.
All right, Jason Jones, same question.
So we'll go back a little bit in history. One that I've always admired was James Wilson. He was one of the first Supreme Court justices. He's one of our founding fathers, and he's one of only a handful of people who signed both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Thank you. Jason Jones, how do you feel about cameras, still or video, in the courtroom?
We currently allow cameras in the courtroom. I think that, if there were going to be a big case where you'd have to have multiple cameras, I'd try and come to an agreement where there would only be one that the pool would use, just for lack of chaos in the courtroom. But I'm for cameras in the courtroom. Mario Theodore.
I am for cameras in the courtroom. We live in the sunshine. I'm all for them.
All right, thank you. The question we solicit questions from the community. The question I'm most asked by voters to ask the candidates has little to do with the local judges race, but it's become a litmus test for many voters and speaks to our democracy at large. Do you have confidence in the outcome of the 2020 presidential election? Mario Theodore.
Can that question be clarified more? The confidence as far as what?
In the results of the 2020 presidential election?
Yes.
Okay. Jason Jones.
Yes.
All right. Jason Jones, do you believe in climate change?
Yes.
Mario Theodore.
Yes.
Which Florida court decision in any Florida court do you think has had the most impact on the lives of Floridians? Mario Theodore.
Bush v. Gore.
Okay. Jason Jones.
One that comes to mind is Gideon versus Wainwright. That's the case that created the public defender's office. It's probably had the biggest impact on Floridians and the country.
Okay. Jason Jones, outside your legal career, what do you believe your biggest contribution to the community has been?
So that's a tough question because those are kind of intertwined. I've always been a public servant. I never went into private practice and sought, to improve my financial status by doing that. So I've constantly served this community through my work, either as an attorney or as a law enforcement officer with FDLE, and also just through my family.
Thank you. Mario Theodore, same question.
Could you re-ask the question, please?
Sure. Outside your legal career, what do you believe your biggest contribution to the community has been?
My biggest contribution has been to this community has been just being a mentor to my little brother with the big brothers, big sisters. Definitely outside of the legal career. Well, law enforcement was not in this community. So just the things that I'm doing, and obviously they're still in the legal career, but the pro bono work that I'm doing.
Thank you.
Work.
All right. And lastly, name 3 personal traits that describe the knowledge and disposition you would bring to the court. I'm just looking for almost 3 words. 3 personal traits that describe the knowledge and disposition you would bring to the court. Mario Theodore.
Empathy, diversity, tenacity.
Thank you. Jason Jones.
Fairness, compassion, and patience.
Thank you. You guys made it through the lightning round. Well done.
Very good. Let's see. I think we are going over to Mr. Monroe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Flanagan. What do you believe are the greatest obstacles to justice in our judicial system? You have 45 seconds. We'll start with Judge Jones, please.
Money. Money, the lack of money is what creates, I think, the most inequity in our judicial system. People not being able to hire the attorney that they want, and that's not only in the criminal realm, which we see just a public defender's office that is extremely overworked because of lack of resources and lack of resources from people that need to have their services. But I see it also in the civil system where we have lots of pro se defendants who do not know what they're doing. I, as a judge, cannot help them. And I can tell you that it's very frustrating to see someone come in and not be successful in their case because of a lack of resources and a lack of knowledge of the law.
What do you believe are the greatest obstacles to justice in our judicial system?
No, if not the greatest, then a large obstacle is the public's perception of the justice system. I happen to have friends and family who believe that the justice system is unfair and it's uneven. So I believe the obstacle is to edify the general public on the process and why it appears that there is a bit of inequity between certain decisions. I believe that's the biggest obstacle.
Gentlemen, the judiciary appears at times, sometimes we may say most times, to be politicized. Some judges have even aligned themselves pretty publicly with organizations that advocate one school of political thought over another. Do you affiliate with one or more organizations with conservative or liberal philosophy? And if so, which ones? And how would you be able to maintain those associations while also upholding the integrity and independence of the judiciary? Again, a big involved question, but see if we can boil it down to 1 minute. And Mr. Theodore, you first, please.
I don't believe I am. However, I am a member of the NAACP, although not a large participant. I'm a member of the National Bar Association, which is the largest Black so-called bar association in the country. So I'm not sure if being a member of those assign myself to either way of political ideology. But I do not believe, outside of those, that I am definitely not an active participant in either camp, so to speak.
Okay, Mr. Jones.
I'm not an active participant in any organization that the organization itself takes particular viewpoints on or advocates for one political party or one political view. As a judge, you have to be fair and impartial. Now, I do think that everybody does have their own personal views, and if you have personal views that lean one way or the other, that's your own personal choice. But once you step on the bench and put on the robe, you put all that aside, and it doesn't matter what your personal beliefs are on any particular issue. It's just on what the law is.
All right, so we've been asking all the questions. Now it's your turn. What's one question you'd like to ask your opponent? And your opponent will have a minute to respond. Judge Jones, you can start us out.
There were several judges that were up for retention or reelection this cycle. Why did you choose me?
There wasn't so much of a choice of you. Just so happened that there were two, if I recall correctly, there were you and Judge Newland. There were two seats up, and you happened to be seat number one. As I've told you personally, that this was nothing personal. There was nothing against you. We've never met each other prior to going through this. Sure, then and now, it was nothing personal. Never has been. It just so happened that you were one of the two. And the one had to be pulled.
Mario Theodore, what's the question you'd like to ask Judge Jones?
Well, Judge, how can you assure the community? I know you, for the last 2 years, you've stated you've been fair and impartial. That's how, or you've been fair to everyone through these last 2 years. How can you assure the community that this is not just because you're running against a Black man, that it will still be consistent after this?
So it's not just the last 2 years. I have been an attorney for 18 years. So I practiced law in this community for 16 years. 5.5 of those years was as a prosecutor. And throughout my entire career, I've shown that I can be fair, and I am fair to all people. And that is evidenced by some of the endorsements that I've recently received, like Ben Crump, who is a renowned civil rights attorney, endorses me for this race. So I don't think if people were worried about there was any doubt whether I could be fair and impartial to all people, just because I am white, I don't think that they would endorse me and put their name behind me. So I think that the community should take a look at my endorsements and ask people who have appeared in front of me, and they will tell you that this is not just a fluke for the last 2 years, that my entire career I've been fair and impartial and treat everyone with respect.
All right, y'all made it to the conclusion part of our show where you're able to make the case directly to voters. Mario Theodore, you're going to start. You have 90 seconds to talk directly to voters. You're welcome to share your website as well if you like, and you get to start us out.
Okay. First and foremost, the website is Theodore, the number 4 judge, 2022.com. And you can also look at the firm's website is fairpricelegal.org, FAIRPRICE, legal.org. I give you those websites because a lot of information is worn on my sleeve about me. Judge Jones asked me about entering this race and why I chose him. And as you heard, I did not choose him. It just happened to be 2 seats. Lately, there have been a lot of questions about Gadsden County or where I reside. Again, I became an attorney, not for status, not to be an elitist. People who know me, people who have asked me, there's definitely a story behind becoming an attorney. I went to school to be a journalist after law enforcement, and that's what I intended to do. I became a lawyer to help, not for money, not for status. The judgeship, again, there was a conversation that I had with an attorney in Leon County, and as a result of that conversation, I believe that as a result, there was a need. Again, if that need is being met by Judge Jones, then I'm happy for the citizens of Leon County that that's the appropriate, it is the appropriate choice to be made. I know Judge Jones states that he has endorsements by attorneys like Ben Crump, and if that's what the litmus test is, then that's great.
Thank you.
Again, you're welcome.
All right, Judge Jones, you get to close us out.
All right. Thank you all again for having us. I would just like to say that as a longtime member of this community, I've been humbled and honored to serve as your Leon County judge for the past 2 years. I have shown that I can be fair and compassionate, and that is evidenced by the people who support me in this race. I have a tremendous amount of local support, which I am humbled by every time I see it and hear people tell me that I'm starting to hear people now saying, I voted for you. They've received their mail-in ballots and they've cast their ballot already. And I never wanted to be a politician. I never wanted to do that as part of this role. I always wanted to be a judge, but not a politician. So that's been something that is a little bit getting used to. But being a judge has been the greatest honor of my career. Serving the people of Leon County has been the greatest honor of my career. So I just ask for you to please vote for me and let me continue to serve this great community. Thank you.
Folks, that brings us to a screeching halt on this particular candidate forum. Our thanks to the Tallahassee Democrat, the League of Women Voters of Tallahassee, WFSU Public Media, and the candidates for joining us for this program. You can find a replay of the forum on our YouTube pages, along with Tallahassee.com and WFSU.org. The recorded broadcast, the audio portion of it, will be played Tuesday, August 2nd at 11 in the morning on WFSU 88.9 FM.
Our next live web stream forum will be Wednesday, July 27th at 1 p.m. and it will be with the 4 candidates for Florida State House District 8 Democratic primary: Hubert Brown, Gallup Franklin, Gregory James, and Marie Radigan.
And you can look for our special election section of the Tallahassee Democrat with interviews with all the candidates on the ballots, including these 2, which will be printed and inserted in the Sunday, August 7th edition. You can also stay with Tallahassee.com for all the latest election news. We also invite your questions, and we use them. Really easy to send questions for any of these forums to news@Tallahassee.com. Beyond that, I'd like to thank the candidates. I'd like to thank all those who were watching today and the excellent crew here at the WFSU studios. Thank you all so much. Have a great day.